All
All
right,
right.
Rick, we have started the recording and we are ready when you are.
All right, thank you. It should be reflected that we are assembled, some of us remotely, on November 26, 2024 at approximately 10 a.m. This is the licensing committee for our monthly meeting of the board. We're going to proceed because of the two board members, one of us, meaning me, is appearing remotely. We'll have to call roll on our subsequent votes. The record should reflect, in addition to the two committee members present, also we have staff, who includes our renewed executive director, and our attorney general is present. If there's little noise going on in the background, I apologize. I couldn't find a completely quiet place with all the stuff going on here today. But with that, we'll move right into our agenda items, since it can be pretty easy to deal with today for the most part. The first item on the agenda is a review of our October 24 licensing committee meeting minutes. I have reviewed the same. I have no errors, corrections, amendments, or additions. Is there a motion to approve?
Rick, this is Scott. I'd make a motion for approval of the minutes.
And I second. Discussion. Then I'll call the roll. Scott?
Aye.
And Hodgson votes aye. Moving on then to item 2, officer changes. We have some officer changes that require board action, others that are for information only. First of those that requires a board action is for PAC 2143, a change in qualified representative for that licensee. Staff indicates it has been submitted. There are no concerns or issues. Is there a motion to approve that officer?
Rick, this is Scott. I'd make that motion.
I second. Discussion. Then I'll call the roll. Scott?
Aye.
And Hodgson votes aye. Likewise, we have a change with that same licensee, 2143, a change for Minnesota manager. Staff again indicates no issues. It is the same person who will be both qualified rep and Minnesota manager. Is there a motion to approve?
Scott, I would make that motion.
Second. Discussion, and I'll call the roll. Scott?
Aye.
And Hodgson votes aye. Next, a change relative to PDC 2085. The change includes several positions, including of significance to us, qualified rep, Minnesota manager. Again, staff indicates there are no issues that have been discovered or found. Is there a motion to approve officer change for PDC 2085?
Rick, this is Scott. I would make that motion.
Second. Discussion. Hearing none, I'll call the roll. Scott?
Aye.
And Hodgson votes aye. For the record, we have 3 informational changes of CEO or CFO. Again, do not require board action, but those are PDC 2071, PAC 925, and PAC 2339. Item 3 on the agenda, tabled officer changes, of which we have none to deal with this month. We now have 6 items on our consent agenda. The first 4 of the 6 got their materials submitted with on the first try without any additional staff interaction. We always appreciate that. I'll note for the record the consent agenda items, and then we can approve those in mass. They are PDI 1071, PAC 1071. Excuse me, the first one was PDI 1070. I may have misspoke that. PAC 1071, PDC 1139, PAC 2153, PAC 222, and PDC 648. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Rick, this is Scott. I would make that motion.
And I second, and I'll call the roll. Scott?
Aye.
And Hodgson votes aye, so the consent agenda stands approved. We now move to item 5, license renewals. The first of those being PDC 2341. It does appear in everything to be in order for the renewal. It was received a few days late. Scott, what's your pleasure?
I would make a motion for approval.
And I second discussion. Then I'll call the roll. Scott?
Aye.
And Hodgson votes aye, so that approval is enacted. We move to next to PDI 528. Again, other than a few days late renewal, approximately a week, no other issues. Is there a motion?
Rick, this is Scott. I'd make the motion for approval.
All right, I second discussion. And I'll call the roll. Scott?
Aye.
And Hodgson votes aye. Next on our agenda is PAI 1138. It was also a late renewal, but there were no issues upon its receipt. So is there a motion?
Rick, this is Scott. I'd make that motion.
And I second discussion. And I'll call the roll. Scott?
Aye.
And Hodgson votes aye. Next on our agenda is PAC 2342. Staff indicates that there's one issue was license holder had the year 2 continuing education training scheduled for 11/21/2024. Have we received proof that that was accomplished?
We have not received proof, but the license holder is aware that they are going to be sending us license certificates once they have them.
Right. At this point, then it seems pending its receipt, we should. That was the only issue, correct?
Correct.
It seems to me we have two options. One would be just general contingent license, or another option, Scott. We could agree to renew the license contingent on submission of that proof. If it's acceptable to staff, then they could go ahead and just proceed. What's your opinion?
I think we wait, Rick.
All right, then just a regular old contingent license. Motion has been made for contingency. I second. Any other discussion? I'll call the roll. Scott?
Rick, if you didn't hear me, I voted aye.
Oh, I didn't hear. We must be having a little bit of a delay. And I vote aye as well. So moving on then to PA indicates that staff needs additional time to review some training materials. So is there a motion for contingent status?
And Rick, there has been an update. We were able to review this in time. And the renewal has no issues. The AOT looked fine, so this actually is ready for review.
All right, in that case, is there a motion to renew?
Rick, this is Scott. I'd make that motion.
And I second. Discussion. Then I'll call the roll. Scott?
Aye.
And Hodgson votes aye. So that motion carries. Next, we have PAC 2084. There were some outstanding items as of the 21st of November. Is that still the case?
That is still the case.
All right, then we're looking for a contingent status motion. Scott?
Rick, this is Scott. I'd make that motion.
And I second. Discussion. Hearing none, then I'll call the roll. Scott?
Aye.
And Hodgson votes aye, so that motion carries. We next have PAC 1136. As of the 21st of November, there were still some outstanding items. Abby, is that still the case?
Yes, it is.
All right, looking for contingent status motion, Scott?
Rick, it's Scott. I'd make that motion.
And I second. Discussion. Then I'll call the roll. Scott?
Aye.
And Hodgson votes aye. Moving on to our last item under 5, PDC 1040. There were also still some outstanding items as of last week. Is that still the case, Abby?
That is still the case.
All right, looking for a contingent status motion then, Scott.
Rick, I'd make that motion.
I second. Hearing none, I'll call the roll. Scott?
Aye.
And Hodgson votes aye. All right. Moving next to contingent licenses, item 6 on the agenda, PAC 2143. There were some officer changes that were required, which we just accomplished. So with those changes, I trust that everything is now ready for review. We did receive a somewhat late application, understand with the changes. Scott, what's your preference?
Rick, I'd vote for approval with a letter
All right.
due to the length
and I
of time.
second that. Yep, I agree. I second that, and I'll call the roll. Scott?
Aye.
And Hodgson votes aye. We have PDC 601. Other than a late renewal, or late application response, it does appear that everything else is in order. It would be appropriate for us to act on this license, that being PDC 601, the McDowell Agency. Scott, what is your preference?
Rick, I'd make a motion for approval with a letter.
All right, I would second that. Any other discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call the roll. Scott?
Aye.
And Hodgson votes aye. We next have PAC 2339, currently in contingent status that goes through the end of December. Staff indicates it is still not ready for review, so that doesn't require any action this month from us. Presumably, hopefully things will get taken care of that month. Likewise, we have PAC 2337. There had not been the renewal material hasn't been received last week. Abby, is that still the case?
That is still the case.
All right. Again, that's in contingent status. It requires no action. Similar question as to PDC 2083. Still nothing received?
Correct.
All right. Again, that happens as a matter of law. We have PAC 2081. Also, nothing had been received yet. Still the case, Abby?
That is still the case.
All right. Again, that happens as a matter of law. And then we have, lastly, PDI 2018. Nothing had been received as of the 21st. Is that still the case?
That is still the case.
All right, that also happens. So that covers item 6 on our agenda. We have tabled renewals, item 7, of which there are none. Lapsed licenses. Those licenses, there are the first one of those on our agenda. PAC 2331. Indication that nothing has been received as of 11/21. Is that still the case?
That is still the case.
All right. Again, lapsing happens as a matter of law, requires no action on our part. As to PAC 2334, also in lapse status, any action by that licensee?
We have not received anything else from them.
Right. Again, no action is required. Okay, that gets us to expired licenses, none that require action. We have surrendered licenses, does not require board action, but we appreciate when licensees, now former licensees, let us know. For the record, those are PDI 526, PAC 1127, PAC 2080, and PDC 2100. Licensed status change applications, nothing there. Item 12, incomplete applications. This has been lingering since February of 2024. Any action, Abby, that we should be made aware of?
We still have not received anything else from them.
All right. And this month we have no new applicants under 13, so nothing to act upon. Our tabled applicants, again, we have not heard from it or the applicant since August of 2023. Is that still the case?
That is still the case.
All right, that also then requires no action. Preliminary application process, relatively new feature, but this month we have none to apply. Issues and discussions, I have nothing for the good of the order. Scott, anything from you?
I have nothing, Rick.
All right. Greg, again, welcome back to our new executive director. Anything for licensing committee, specific items you want to bring to our attention?
Not at this time, Board Chair. Just it's good to be back, and thank the staff for keeping the agency going in the interim, and just look forward to working with you guys.
Well, we appreciate having you here. I do not believe we have any necessity for an executive attorney-client session, but I'll ask our counsel to confirm that.
No attorney-client session, but I will put on the record that I'm very happy to be working with Greg again.
All right.
Thank you, Counselor.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our licensing committee meeting. We are next scheduled for New Year's Eve Day, December 31st at 10 a.m. Members who are participants of this meeting, you are welcome to rejoin us for the full board meeting, which is scheduled to take place about, according to my clock, about an hour from now, but we will not be offended if you choose not to, since you have lives and things to do. In the meantime, it's appropriate to adjourn this committee meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn the licensing committee?
Rick, this is Scott. I'd make that motion.
I second, and I'll call the roll. Scott?
Aye.
And Hodgson votes aye. We stand adjourned at approximately 11:21 Eastern Time, 10:21 Central, and I will be back for the full board meeting in approximately an hour. So see you all then.